Hello and welcome to today's presentation of Futurelab Insight. My name is Roland Haring.
I'm Hideo Ogawa from Ars Electronica Futurelab.
And together we will do a joint presentation of research topics that we are working on at the Ars Electronica Futurelab. So the overall title is Robotinity Research meets virtual world. And these are really like two very important topics at the Futurelab, and in some projects they even come very close together. And I would like to start with virtual worlds, because this is something that the Ars Electronica Futurelab started a long time ago to look at virtual worlds. And what you see here in the background, for example, is a virtual mock-up of a cave infrastructure, which was built here in 1996. It was the first cave outside of the United States, and was something like the starting point for us for this journey to discover virtual worlds. And we tried to come up with all kinds of also experimental and different infrastructures to experience this. For example, as you see here on the other side, this is the Humphrey, which was then built a few years later, which is something like a 3D navigatable flying simulator where you could explore virtual spaces. And this was like always for us interesting to go beyond this very traditional form of VR content. For example, these head-mounted displays, which you can see here also on the slide. This is something what you nowadays understand as immersive media and virtual reality, but this has a lot of limitations which are very crucial for us, because here at the Ars Electronica Center we are always having groups of people that come and visit us, and they want to have a joint experience, and therefore something like a head-mounted display is not a good solution. It's a single user interface. For that it's perfect, but not really good for groups. And actually there had been a lot of research going on for the last, I would say, like 20, even 30 years to come up with other VR infrastructures, which are also possible for people to go there and experience this as a collaborative, immersive environment. And our solution that we came up with is the deep space, and this is exactly the space where we are presenting from today. And as you see also on these images, normally this whole space is totally filled with people during presentations. At the moment it's not so easily possible, also due to COVID regulations and things like that. But for us this was always a very successful approach that we took there. And what we saw, what are something like these main three aspects which make immersive environments like the deep space successful, is firstly the infrastructure, because you need to solve the whole thing technically and set up this whole system, projection system and things like that. But also very important is the content that you have there, because without the content all the infrastructure does not make much sense for people, because it's like shouldn't be a technical show-off. And what you see here actually is the Pepperoids Island. This was the first big VR project which had been shown here at the Deep Space already in 2009, and also a lot of interactivity there for the people to have really like a engaging joint interaction in this immersive space. But what's also very important for us is how we present content in here. So whenever you come to the deep space, it's a live presentation, which means there are no pre-programmed shows like in a 3D cinema where you just press a button and the show starts to play. So all of this content here is interactively being presented by info trainers, which are doing the presentation here from the deep space. And this contributes a lot to the immersion for the people in the space as well. And in general, you can break it down to this very simplified formula, what key elements for immersion are. It's perspective and agency. So it means like perspective means that whatever you see in this space must correspond to a physical, plausible, three-dimensional space in which you can basically orient yourself. But the other thing is also agency, which means you need to have possibility to interact. And especially interaction is sometimes quite hard to do it for groups of people. But here also the environment like the deep space has a lot of benefits due to the size that it has. So basically people are always, it's always possible to physically move around, to also be in social contact with other people in this space, to collaborate, interact together and do things in this space. But for us, it's always interesting to take this further and also think of extended or enhanced forms of interactivity. And two things that we are looking here at the moment is firstly regarding the perspective and how to make basically this perspective impression in this space even better. And one thing which is very important here is this topic of these anamorph projections. So this is something that you know from street artists. It's like this visual trick that a painting is exactly correct for one viewing point in space. And when you stand there, then you have a perfect perspective illusion. So this is like the thing that we see here on the left side, this image with this spider. So then the same thing is something that we can also achieve here in deep space and using the floor and the wall as the two painting surfaces. But to do this, we need to know exactly where the camera should be positioned. And this is something that we can achieve by using tracking systems, which we have installed here in this space. And they are working with a camera-based system with infrared reflective markers. And this is now something where you can really create the even more engaging visual impression for people in this space. And what we can use it for is not only to use it for people, but to also use it for a virtual production environment. And this is actually what we are doing here today. So what we did is that this marker, which is normally mounted on the glasses of a viewer or interacting person, is today mounted on the main camera, which is filming us for the live stream. And especially for the people in here, they see basically that the perspective of the projection in the deep space is constantly changing. And this is happening due to the movement of the camera. So this is then basically something where you can create a much better perspective match of the virtual production or basically of the virtual environment. And we can also then combine this with the stereoscopic projection for people here on site. And where we are doing this is, for example, for a research project, which is called Cobot Studio. And there we are building up an interaction environment for human and robots here in the deep space. And this will also use then this virtual production infrastructure to really create a plausible virtual environment for real people and a real robot. And they will have tasks to work on and solve certain problems together. And it will be a very playful thing, but allows us to do very quick prototyping and have a very high level of flexibility to also make this mixed reality applications here in the deep space possible. But from this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague Hide to speak a bit more about robots and how and what role they play for our research.
Thank you, Roland. And from now, I'm switching the mode a little bit from technical mode to be more dialogue mode to you guys. As you realize, okay, this is a special environment now. Live streaming by utilizing deep virtual, is now happening. So, if you have this kind of setting, what would you like to envision? Today, I would like to invite you a short, discussion. Okay, what's the meaning of the robot in the future? So for you, what is a robot? But also, what is a human? And what is humanity, you guys? And what is robotinity? Actually, robotinity was original idea and a term developed by Futurelab in 2011 to discuss how human and robot can collaborate for our better society and better applications. Now you see the background. Actually, for the persons who are watching the contents today remotely, it's magically, you'll see virtual walls. And actually, those robots are showcase that we exhibited, and we used Ars Electronica Center for investigating what is robotinity and also humanity. So you can see many projects, also very famous humanoid robot collaborated with Hiroshi Ishiguro from Osaka University, or Honda Ashimo's project was, Ashimo was here actually. Then so we utilized this environment to discuss what's the human-robot interaction and what's the benefit, and what's a gap. We could utilize here this kind of virtual environment to assess the social implications before delivering the actual robot to the society, right? So you can feel the benefit why we have this kind of special environment, because we can change the background, we can simulate the social context by using this special setting. Then so in this research, many researches regarding robotinity and humanity, always we have one very key research questions. What is a new language that connects humans and robots? Of course, many researchers are invested in this, but by utilizing this virtual environment, we can test tons of crazy ideas, art-driven ideas. Before going to that, can we show the Cobot Studio after this? The Cobot Studio, sorry, not Cobot Studio, I mixed up. Shared space, sorry. I mixed up the latest project and with this. This was a research about the question, what is a new language that connects humans and robot? In the age of autonomous car, so this was a collaboration with also Mercedes-Benz. What if the autonomous car is a part of our daily lives? So how to trust? The key idea was to establish the trust. When the robot, autonomous car comes, how to stop it? Do you know how to stop it? The idea here, we tested, this kind of environment to think of the concept, fundamental concept about the language. Actually, see, here, there's a laser projection to show this, cross. Then, so here, I can maybe pass. Maybe, I don't know if this works. But I'm really doing improvising today. But actually, maybe some people might realize, we can share the discussion here. What's the meaningful social applications and social language to connect human and robot? So then, this kind of inspirations are shared with general public like you guys, but also industry partners. Then here. So this is one of the research result. And of course, the final shape and all things was done by Mercedes-Benz. But some elements, of the communication especially, was a kind of crystallization from the collaboration between Mercedes-Benz and also Ars Electronica Futurelab. So why, such partners, robotic advanced people are gathering at Ars Electronica is because we have such environmental, design technique, so that we can discuss the meaningful, social contextual robot. So that's the point. Then, so what kind of art can be created using robotic medium? Of course, as a Futurelab, as a laboratory and atelier for future prototyping, future systems, our key driving force to envision such kind of idea is art. But of course, art is not just envisioning the future innovation, but also we would like to use the robotics for artistic expression. So maybe next I would like to show the Swarm Arena project. If the deep virtual could be shifted, it's gonna be great though. The Swarm Arena.
I think it's on the video.
Okay, let's go to the video. But in a way, by utilizing this kind of idea, we could simulate the impact, how this is going to be realized. So now, before showing this kind of performance, we can simulate the robotic, performance in 3D, but like this kind of virtual, environments as well. So can you imagine, like deep virtual or this kind of virtual worlds can be a part of a strategic design process, to envision the real, animations, real, happening performances, before presenting actual show. So in this way, we are combining the fundamental technologies of the virtual reality, virtual worlds for creating tangible prototypes to, really discuss the, impact, with students. But before really exposing the tangible, things, we can use the process here as artistic research. So that's I think a nice combination regarding the virtual environments and also the content production. I hope you understood the idea, but maybe I would like to ask Roland, also for your side, for your perspective, how this can be also, as a future works. What's going to be the next, about this kind of combination? What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is in general very important for the Future Lab, that we do not have like these separated research topics where basically people focus on one aspect and this is all which is interesting for them, but that we're always trying to really combine things and also develop the topics further. So this is something where we have like constant development and progress, and I think that's why we will see also in the future a lot of overlapping projects also in between all of these research projects which are going on at the Future Lab. Yeah.
So that's it. And today I hope from gallery and ground floor, you are in a way part of our design and the research process of the Future Lab. I hope you understood our small kind of part of the research process. But if you have any questions, I would like to ask you from audience. But thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
So anyone up here in the gallery, if they have a question, just please raise your hand and I'll come to you with the microphone. Doesn't look like there are any questions up here, so.
Yeah, also other thing is on Swapcard, there's also the possibility for the people in the live stream to put the question there.
Yeah, no questions from Swapcard.
Okay.
There's a question there.
Yeah, upstairs.
Yeah.
Hello. If you're saying communication is important for interacting and trusting robots, what is the level of communication nowadays? Can you teach a robot to understand what emotion is or emphatic behavior? And if yes, how?
Some technology, of course, allow us to do so. But the most important thing is not just creating the trust in the way, I would say. The idea of creating trust is how to utilize human capability more than robot. So as you saw, the idea of the projection was, in a way, exposing the black box, kind of thinking to outside. The robot is, not like us, right? We can't communicate. So we needed to, open what the robot is thinking was, what's the status, Then so if we can succeed in exposing and visualizing the process of the robot, then human understand, oh, this is a language, So I think quite often, this is my kind of also my long-term research outcome though. I believed, I used to believe, okay, we can design everything. But, even me and Roland, we are quite often misunderstanding each other, Even humans, we have full of misunderstanding. But how to understand the misunderstanding? That's, I think, a very important question. But thank you very much for the wonderful questions. I think that is exactly, the contents we are researching by utilizing this kind of environment. Because in the theory, okay, researchers fully trust this works because, we precisely design the interaction dramaturgy. But in reality, what if the window is so strong, the conditions are full of noise? This case, the most important strategy is how test, virtually, but in this kind of unique setting, then get the know-how, then extract the key strategy, how to create an informed trust. This is, I don't know if this is answering to your question, but I got inspiration from you to me to answer to the question. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I would also like to add that especially non-verbal communication is very important. So, and also how to design this. And this is actually also one of these main research questions in this Cobot Studio project. Because many robots have very explicit forms of communication at the moment. So, and one thing is like, even if you do like voice commands and things like that, or if you put a display on the robot and you have to read more or less the information or output, this is actually not a very human form of communication. So, and that's why this non-verbal understanding in a way is something which is very important, but also to design non-verbal communication, because this is a very efficient and intuitive form of reading another person or robot intention. And having this understanding to know what someone wants to do is the foundation for trust, and trust is very important to have a successful communication.
Thank you, Roland. There's actually another question from the audience.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was a very nice presentation. I got a question. Obviously, there's been a lot of progress in recent years. So where do you see the biggest impediments or obstacles in achieving faster progress? Is it algorithms? Is it compute power? Is it mental biases of people developing things? I'd be interested in getting your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think that there's always a huge step to get things out of research labs into real life environments. And this is something which is should never be underestimated. So what we see in the media, in many cases, these are experiments, these are prototypes which work in a certain lab setting and are very impressive. But they have so many frame conditions that they rely on that it's totally hard to bring this to basically real people and their daily life. And I think that these technologies or that have really this high leverage are those which achieve this, and which are really things that you can buy off the shelf and just use it. And this is really something. And then it has also enormous social impact. So this is like things that you see with your smartphone and things like that. So once you have millions of devices out there, they have a huge impact on our society. And this is for all those other technologies also important to distinguish between what you see in the lab and how many years will it take until you really get it out to the people. Or yeah, and I think this is definitely one of the main.
Basically crossing the chasm on a different dimension, taking it from early enthusiasts to Main Street, if you will, right?
Yeah,
and say, okay, what does it take to make it really ready for the broader population?
But there are a lot of questions also to ask, because this is then really like how to shape it as a product, and this is a long way to go as well, which is sometimes overseen if people see a lab prototype and then you say like, next day it's like affecting me personally already. But and this whole technology in many cases is also reshaping, because you learn a lot how to make it right when you try to bring it to a broader audience. But this is for us very interesting, because this is actually where it gets in touch with society, and this is always for us has been a very interesting field of tension. Okay. But I think that we are getting closer and closer to the end of our stream. I heard that there will be a hard cut and they will just end it. So I think we should use the time to say thank you for the audience here for coming to this presentation. I hope you did get some insight in our work and what we are doing. Also afterwards, for sure, if there are questions or whatever, please come to us directly and approach us. But otherwise, I would say thank you for joining this presentation.
Thank you.